May 2nd this year, Cincinnati Reds right-hander Ron Robinson made a date with destiny, but he was unable to keep that date as in the 9th inning with 2 out, pinch hitter Wallace Johnson of Montreal slapped a base hit to left field, and the no-hitter and perfect game were gone. Robinson, one of 6 pitchers in baseball this year to take a no-hitter to the 9th inning, and he goes today against division rival San Francisco on the NBC Game of the Week.
National Broadcasting Company. Now in its 7th decade of bringing you baseball's memories. Baseball's milestones. Baseball's majesty. And baseball's magical moments. NBC Sports proudly presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Riverfront Stadium, it's the San Francisco Giants versus the Cincinnati Reds. The Game of the Week is brought to you by Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Centers. By the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevy truck. And by AC Delco, automotive parts that don't just fit, they match.
A check at the National League's Western Division standings shows that after the Dodgers doubleheader loss to San Diego last night, there is now just a 6.5 game spread between 1st to 5th place in the divisional race, a division that apparently so far nobody wants to take charge of. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Zabriskie, and welcome to Cincinnati for the first of our baseball doubleheader here on NBC today. The label for both of these teams, Cincinnati and San Francisco, probably should be promises unfulfilled. And to find out how the Reds may better fulfill those preseason promises, let's go to Kurt Bavacqua, who's with Reds manager Pete Rose right now.
Pete, why aren't the Reds in first place right now?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Dirty, we don't deserve to be. And I think if you're going to complain about any phase of our game up till now, it's got to be our defense. I think we're leading the league in errors, and our offense really hadn't played like it's capable of playing. But the last week or so, both defensively and offense were coming around. And it's only going to be a matter of time before we get to first place because everyone knows the kind of talent we have, and now the talent is playing like everyone expects them to play.
Last night's game was a Pete Rose-style played game.
It's a Cincinnati Reds type game. When you got guys like Larkin and Sabo and Daniels and Davis and people like that can run like the wind, turn them loose. And we made a lot of things happen last night, and give all the credit to the players because they're the ones that make it happen. Let them run on their own. They steal third, they steal second. They go from first to third on base hits to center field to left field to right field, and they know how important speed is. And we got a lot of speed, as much speed as any team in this league. And we try to manufacture runs a little bit like the Cardinals. I think the only difference is we have a little more power than the Cardinals to go on with all the speed.
Well, thanks, Pete, and good luck.
Okay.
We'll be back with today's lineups in just a moment.
Here's the San Francisco lineup Ron Robinson will be working against today. Brett Butler will be in center field leading it off. Chris Spire at second base batting second. A late insertion in the lineup is Robbie Thompson split a fingernail on a ground ball during pregame practice. They've taken him for precautionary x-rays, and he was lifted from the lineup. Will the Thrill Clark will be at first batting third. Candy Maldonado in right field batting fourth. Mike Aldrete, and they traded Jeff Leonard in an effort to get Aldrete into the lineup, will be in left field batting fifth. Kevin Mitchell at third base batting sixth. Jose Uribe, only his second game back following 2 weeks off after the tragic death of his wife, will start at shortstop and bat seventh. Young Kurt Manwaring, a good-looking young catcher, will bat eighth, and Kelly Downs will be on the mound for the Giants batting ninth.
Defensively, for the Cincinnati Reds, in left field, it's Cal Daniels. Center field is Paul O'Neill. Right field, Lloyd McClendon, I'm sorry. At third base, you got Chris Sabo. Barry Larkin is the shortstop. Jeff Treadway at second base. Leon the Bull Durham, recently acquired from the Chicago Cubs, is at first. Behind the plate is Terry McGriff, and on the mound is Ron Robinson.
And Robinson making his 13th start of the year. He's been off for 9 days. He missed his last scheduled start as they made an adjustment in the rotation. And his unearned run average, the graphic you see on the far right, added to his earned run average, gives you an indication of why he's 2-5. He has given up 11 unearned runs. Here's Brett Butler to lead it off for the Giants. Butler hitting .270 with 2 homers and 12 RBIs, takes the strike.
You always like to watch Dutch Renner behind the plate, don't you? He's got a style of his own.
Whenever Dutch is at the park, you don't want to sit on the first base side on the dirt, 1-1. Dutch with the most emphatic strike call in Major League Baseball. Well, I guess you could say all of baseball. I don't know if there's anybody in the minor leagues that emulates Dutch.
When Dutch first started, they said that he had to have a style of his own because he was smaller than the rest.
Well, he certainly developed it. He is a good umpire and leaves no doubt. Butler, the guy that the Giants look to get things started. That's why they acquired him from Cleveland. And he takes a breaking ball low, 2 balls, 1 strike. He leads the club with 17 stolen bases. And Pete Rose last night had his Reds running in a 6-0 Cincinnati victory, including a double steal in the first inning. Again, it's low, 3-1.
They held Robinson back. He has an extra 5 days rest, so he should be strong today. But Pete Rose was telling me before the game that they're going to limit him to 90 pitches.
Butler hits it in the air to right field. McClendon going over, makes the catch on the run in the gap for out number 1. Good play by McClendon, who is in right field because Paul O'Neill is in center field for Eric Davis, who is not in the lineup.
McClendon makes a good running catch on this ball, and you can see the ball is carrying a little further today than normally because of the heat here.
One thing about the artificial surface, when the sun is out, and it has certainly been warm throughout the Middle West, the heat begins to rise off that turf and gives that ball some extra lift. Here's Chris Spire, 37-year-old veteran, inserted in the second spot at the last minute, hitting .240 with a homer and 11 RBIs. High and inside, ball 1.
There's a good chance we might see this turf come into play today because it's a new surface this year, and it will bounce higher because of the heat here today.
Really makes it spongy. They put new turf in Montreal, Philadelphia, St. Louis, and Cincinnati, and it's all the same type of turf. Breaking ball catches the outside corner, and Dutch with the emphatic strike call makes it 1-1. Also, they finally, much to all National League players' delight, put a new rug in the Astrodome where AstroTurf was first invented, and it was none too soon. A fastball right in there, 1-2.
There was bubble gum on the AstroTurf rug from 1972.
And you know that because it was yours. Just outside. You can see that McGriff set up outside, and Robinson hit the mitt, but it was off the plate. 2-2.
Probably put Robinson in a power pitcher category. He's got a fastball, a hard slider, but the one thing that separates him from all other power pitchers, or most others, is he's got a real good changeup, and he'll use it when he's behind.
He threw a breaking ball there to Spire, and it's 3-2. Ronnie is 4-1 lifetime against San Francisco. Fastball right back to him, but by-in. Good play by Larkin. 2 down.
There's nothing wrong with Larkin's finger, and there surely isn't anything wrong with his range. As we watch it again, Larkin goes up the middle. He's an outstanding shortstop. Great range. It's a little flip to first base. Let's look at it from another angle. You can see him having to reach for the ball. That's one of the toughest plays for the shortstop, besides going in the hole, is going up the middle and having to make that off-balance throw to first base.
Larkin did it well. He does have an injured finger on his throwing hand, but as you said, Kurt, no effect there. So with 2 out and nobody on, here's Will Clark hitting .255, 16 homers and 48 RBIs to put him among the leaders in both categories in the National League. And he takes the off-speed pitch low for ball 1.
Manager Pete Rose had 3 lineup cards written this morning. He didn't know whether Davis was going to play. He didn't know if Larkin was going to play. He had Concepcion in there.
Outside, Pete held him up to us in his office in the morning. You look at Eric Davis's left elbow. Atlee Hammaker hit him on the elbow with a pitch last night, and Eric had to leave the game. Down low, 2-0. It was pick a card, any card, and the Reds lineup wasn't even announced until shortly before the ball game. And Eric will probably be out more than just today. And it's ball 4.
And Steve, an injury to a key player like that, if he's out for any period of time whatsoever, could mean the difference in a team actually winning the Western Division in the National League, because it's going to end up very, very close by the end of the year.
And Davis, of course, the man the Reds look to carry the load, and he has had an off season and only has shown signs recently of breaking out of that season-ending, or rather season-long slump. And he's been hot, but he can't be hot when he's not in there. Here's Candy Maldonado, 255 with 7 homers and 39 RBIs. Candy also got off to a poor start after an outstanding year last season. Clark at first with 2 out. Fastball catches the corner, strike 1.
Pitcher's got to be throwing hard when you can hear the ball getting into the catcher's glove like that.
That's why they say the guy has good pop.
Good pop.
A little token throw to keep Clark close.
Very token.
Will is not a base stealer. He's 1 for 1 this year in stolen bases. And even though there are 2 out here, he doesn't really figure to be running. Fastball fouled back, and it's 0-2.
The one reason pitchers will keep base runners close that aren't stealing threats is that, say you had a ball like Chris Spire hit up the middle of Larkin, or a ball in the hole, they can get that guy at second base, opposed to having to throw out Maldonado, who's a faster runner than Clark at first.
But you get that easy play with 2 out.
Nothing makes a hitter more mad than when he gets a base hit in the hole, a fielder makes a good play, and you throw out the lead runner, and you know you couldn't get him at first.
High and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Never happened to me. They used to throw me out, leave a runner alone.
Leon Bull Durham at first today. Durham did not play in last night's game with the left-hander Hammaker starting for the Giants. Breaking ball way outside. A good play by Terry McGriff. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Leon coming over from Chicago. The Cubs, of course, tried to trade Durham all winter long and throughout spring training. And he is back in his hometown. As you can see, Clark's ratio last year was not all that good, and Roger Craig, of course, the Giants manager, likes to run a lot.
I'm surprised he was caught 17 times. I'm surprised they let him run that much.
That's right. That means he ran at least 21 times. He's running here, and the ball fouled back out of play. So the count remains 2-2, and Clark will go back to first.
Well, with 2 strikes on Maldonado, probably Roger Craig is figuring that he's going to try to get Will Clark in the scoring position. If Ron Robinson's going to try to nibble with him, he might throw a ball in the dirt with a breaking ball or a changeup. Get Will Clark on second base. Candy Maldonado can get a base hit and drive him in. Baby over in the Giant dugout.
Always studying, always watching everybody. Check swing, strike 3, foul tip into McGriff's glove, and the inning is over. A walk and 1 left in the first for Cincinnati after a half an inning. It's San Francisco 0, and the Reds come. San Francisco's Kelly Downs will work against lineup number 17B for the Reds. Barry Larkin at shortstop, Chris Sabo having a great year at third base, Cal Daniels in left, Paul O'Neill in center for the injured Eric Davis, Leon Durham at first base, Lloyd McClendon in right, Jeff Treadway at second base, Terry McGriff behind the plate, and of course Ron Robinson batting ninth.
Defensively for the San Francisco Giants, it's Mike Aldretti in left field, Brett Butler in center, Candy Maldonado in right. Kevin Mitchell's at third, Jose Uribe at shortstop, Chris Spire filling in at second base. Will Clark is at first, Kirk Manwaring behind the plate, and Kelly Downs on the mound.
Kelly making his 14th start of the year. He's worked 77 1/3 innings and has a 4-6 record. He is 0-2 this year against the Reds as Larkin leads it off and chops one up the middle. Uribe off his glove into center field, and Larkin with a big turn at first holds on as Butler hustles the ball down. So we'll see how they score it, but it should be a base hit, I think, for Barry Larkin.
Watch that last hop, Steve. The last hop is a bigger hop than the other ones, and that's because of the turf, and it didn't hit the dirt.
And it is scored a base hit as Uribe just couldn't reach it. So the Reds with the leadoff batter aboard in the bottom of the first. And here is Chris Sabo. He has put Buddy Bell on the bench. He replaced Buddy when Bell went on the DL earlier with a bad knee. But Sabo, hitting .304, is having what Pete Rose certainly considers an all-star season.
Chris Sabo is Pete Rose's type player. Pete said last night, he says Chris gets mad every time the game ends at night because he knows he's got to wait 24 hours to play again.
A pitch out, one of Roger Craig's favorite moves, but nothing up. So 1-ball account to Sabo. Roger Craig will sit in the dugout and he will watch the first base coach, the runner at first base, the opposing manager, and the third base coach. Now he's checking out the third base coach, Bruce Kim. He watches the catcher. The catcher watches him. And you see Manwaring look over. Roger will give a sign. Sometimes he won't. Sometimes it'll be for the pitcher to throw to first even. He calls virtually everything from the dugout. A strike. Larkin with 20 stolen bases in 24 attempts. And the Reds have been running. They've stolen 91 so far this year.
Chris Sabo's only hitting .395 against the Giants this year with 4 home runs.
He's been the Giant killer. Larkin draws another throw.
We had a perfect example of Pete Rose type baseball last night. Right in the first inning, they started out with a double steal and they ran from there on.
The Reds have stolen 12 bases in a row without having anyone thrown out. Larkin running. Check swing foul out of play. So they count 1 ball 2 strikes to Chris Sabo as Larkin repairs his takeoff area.
I think Larkin gave Manwaring a little false start right there to try to upset him a little bit. It seemed like they might have upset the young catcher last night a little bit. Had a couple of balls, especially on a pitch out that was missed. Might have been a little bit of a wide throw, but on a pitch out you got to come up with it. And the Reds running definitely looked like they upset him last night.
And they're trying to keep the pressure on again. Larkin bluffed going as Sabo fouled it off the other way. Still 1 ball 2 strikes. Manwaring throws well, but they're trying to use little head games with him.
Well, it also helps the hitter, because if the catcher's coming up thinking that the runner's going to steal, he might get a call that's a strike, a ball from the umpire, because he might block him out.
And that has happened on numerous occasions. Still 1-2 to Sabo with Larkin at first and nobody out. No score in the bottom of the first inning. A line drive into the right center field gap for a base hit. Larkin will make it to third easily. Maldonado up with the ball. Sabo into second with a double. Chris Sabo hustling all the way, which is extremely typical. And the Reds are in business with runners at second and third and nobody out.
All that is great baseball. That forces mistakes. Watch Chris Sabo never stops, never pauses going around first base. He knows he's going all the way. That's the type of player he is. And Pete Rose was the first guy out of the dugout last night after he scored and made an outstanding slide coming into home.
Pete telling us this morning that when Sabo hits the ball and he knows it's a single, he's going for a double. If he knows it's a double, he's going for a triple. And that's the way you ought to run the bases. Where you get extra base hits is in the first 20 or 30 feet out from the box and home plate. And Sabo exemplified that on that play. Here's Cal Daniels hitting .297. Fouled off, strike one.
Trying to figure out what kind of glasses Sabo's wearing, though. He looks like he's a welder in the offseason.
Plays a lot of racquetball. He wears those goggles, which are prescription, by the way.
Prescription goggles?
Yep. Sabo's 22nd double of the year, and that ties him for the lead in the National League. Down low, and not far away from him, Manwaring. 1 ball, 1 strike.
This is just a great situation for a hitter. You come up in the first inning with men on second and third, no outs. The infield's back. You know all you have to do is put the ball in play, and you're going to get an RBI and put your club ahead. If you get a base hit, all the better.
A strike call. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The other side of the coin is with first base open and being the third place hitter, Daniels may not get real good pitches to hit and has to be disciplined. And he doesn't like that call as he discusses it with Dutch Renner.
But as a hitter, if you go up to the plate with a base open in front of you, if you think that they're pitching around you, you really don't have a real positive attitude towards that plate appearance. So you have to go at it. It's
time to use the hit what you see approach. Good split finger fastball from Kelly Downs, and a big strikeout as Daniels does not make contact, and there's 1 out. So that'll bring up Paul O'Neill, who's batting cleanup with Eric Davis out of there with that injured elbow. Fastball fouled straight back, strike 1.
Kelly Downs is going right after the hitters, even with first base open. It helps Cincinnati a little bit having 3 left-handed hitters in a row too. If Leon Durham was not in the lineup today.
Durham is on deck behind O'Neill.
If Nick Osaski was the first baseman, then they might be pitching around O'Neill right now.
Bounced up there, and a good play by Manwaring. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kelly Downs has had a problem getting out of trouble when he gets into it. His record, his earned run average, his numbers would all be better if he were better at pitching out of jams. Usually when he gets in a jam, he has a problem working his way out. 2 balls, 1 strike. O'Neill's been hot lately. He's hit .360 over his last 13 games. Runners at second and third with 1 out, 2 balls, 1 strike. And Downs stepping off. Now he wants Manwaring to go through the signs again, and you notice that Manwaring has to look in the dugout to get the pitch selection from Roger Craig before he can start the signs over again. Split finger fastball, and the count 2-2.
Norm Sherry, the Giant pitching coach, swore to me before the game that Roger Craig doesn't call the pitches.
Well,
I still find it hard to believe.
What was Manwaring? What's he looking for if he's not calling the pitches? He's certainly not looking for a pitch out with runners at second and third. He's got to be looking for the pitch. Now it's a full count.
Kelly Downs is not going to give in to O'Neill right here. He's going to throw him a split finger. He's going to try to get him to go after a bad pitch, and Roger Craig is probably going to tell him that right now. He's going to say, listen, you got first base open. You've got a left-handed hitter coming up, but he's not a real fast left-handed hitter. So let's not give in to this guy. Let's try to strike him out.
sure too that Roger's trying to build a little psychological reinforcement, knowing the problems Kelly Downs has had when he does get in trouble. And he is in trouble here in the first, with a full count to Paul O'Neill and runners at second and third. Larkin with great speed at third. To Sabo, who is surprisingly fast at second base. Fly ball to center, and it'll be deep enough to score Larkin. Butler underneath it. Sabo bluffs going to third as the throw goes to shortstop, and on the sacrifice fly, Larkin scores, and Cincinnati leads 1-0. Now, if Downs can get Durham and get out of the inning, the Giants would have to feel very fortunate. Durham's going to be walked, put the double play in order, and bring up the right-handed hitting McClendon.
McClendon's only had 11 at-bats in the major league, so he's probably saying, Roger Craig saying, hey, we're not going to pitch to Leon Durham here, the veteran. We're going to go after the rookie.
And there's ball 4. So McClendon, who has not necessarily been an easy out, batting .306, will be up there with runners at first and second and 2 out.
He's made his hits count too. He's got 11 hits and 11 RBIs.
That's what you call production.
Yes, it is.
All he needs now is a 200-hit season. He'd break Hack Wilson's RBI record of 190 in a year. Foul back for strike 1. Boy, McClendon has been tearing it up. He got off to a horrible start, and granted, he doesn't play often. He's only had 62 at-bats prior to this one. But in the last 18 games in which he has played, he's hitting .433.
The 11 at-bats against the Giants have been productive ones.
Popped up and playable in the infield. Third baseman Kevin Mitchell in near the mound, and the inning is over. The Reds get 1 and they leave 2, and at the end of 1, it's Cincinnati 1, San Francisco 0. Earlier we showed you Eric Davis's injured elbow, and here's how it happened last night against Atlee Hammaker.
Hammaker was behind in the count at that time, 1 ball and 2 strikes, and I'm sure all he was trying to do was back Davis off the plate so he'd come back with a sinker down and away, and he just didn't have real good control last night, especially in the first inning.
One of 2 batters Hammaker hit in the first inning, and you can see what Davis had done in his last 12 games going into last night. He had been red hot. Mike Aldretti leads it off for the Giants in the top of the second and takes high and away. Ball 1. Aldretti hitting .281. Has missed the last 3 games with a sore back, but prior to that he had hit .341 in his last 15. Ball 2. And there's still some discussion, Kurt, going on about the Jeffrey Hackman Leonard trade for Ernest Riles, whom the Giants acquired from Milwaukee.
Well, the guy we're looking at right now is the reason Jeff Leonard was traded to the Brewers. They wanted to try to find a place for him in the lineup. Leonard was a free agent at the end of the year, so they figured they'd get somebody before he played out his free agency with the possibility of losing him and find room for Aldretti.
A strike called 3-1. Of course, the fact that Aldretti's making about $700,000 less a year than Leonard also might have entered into it.
Probably figured into it a little bit.
3-1. 3-2.
You can see that Ron Robinson doesn't shave before he pitches.
Well, he's not alone in that department. He doesn't shave. It looks like he doesn't shave between starts. Well hit to center. O'Neill electing to play it on the hop as it was smoked. And a base hit leading off the second for Mike Aldretti.
continues his assault on the Giants. In 1988, this year he's hitting .370 against them. In career, he's hitting .309. Boy, wouldn't it be nice to be able to do that?
It's too late for us, pal. Once again, we remind our viewers that we'll be selecting the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of the ball game. And will it be Kevin Mitchell, who's hitting .236 with 7 homers? Mitchell up with Aldretti at first and nobody out. 1-0. The Giants leading. We're in the top of the second. I should say the Reds leading. And the Giants just got their first base hit.
Kevin asked me before the game, he says, is the game going back to San Diego? And I said, yeah, I'm afraid so, Kevin. He said, oh, no, I'm not swinging the bat real good.
Kevin's family residing in San Diego, his hometown. Did he hold up on the breaking ball?
I don't believe he did. Dutch Renner didn't even ask for help on it. He went around pretty good.
1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, pitchers grow beards like that because it makes them look nasty. Is that what they want?
That's what some of them say, is they want to look mean. You know, he's big enough, it doesn't make any difference whether he has a beard or not. He's intimidating just standing there. Another breaking ball. This one outside.
I was always afraid of pitchers even if they were clean shaven.
They didn't have to be big to be intimidated. Just outside.
Tom Browning.
Tom didn't shave today either.
No, he didn't.
Of course, the Giants don't have that long-standing Cincinnati policy. The Reds, of course, have been known for their ban on facial hair. I wonder if those pitchers are violating that rule. Breaking ball. Aldretti running, and he's out of it. Good quick throw by McGriff, and 1 out here in the second.
Looked like it could have been a missed hit and run play. Kevin Mitchell looked a little bit disgusted when he saw Aldretti run. And as you can see, he's out by a few feet.
He's out a couple of times.
Could have tagged him 3 times, they would have been out of the inning.
It's a triple play. So the count 3-1 now to Kevin Mitchell with nobody on base. And ball 4. So Mitchell now at first with 1 out. Second walk issued by Ron Robinson. And that'll bring up Jose Uribe. Uribe really the tragic story of this baseball season so far, as his young wife Sarah, a little over 2 weeks ago, died after childbirth complications, giving birth to their 3rd child and first son. Jose put on the disabled list for 2 weeks. Came back Thursday, played 7 innings of an exhibition game against Phoenix in Phoenix, the AAA affiliate of the Giants, and then played last night's game. So this is only his 2nd game back, and he fouls it off. But some of the Giant players were telling me today that they, in discussing it with Jose when he came back, found out from him that really the thing that he wants to do is just come back and immerse himself in the game, get back to the business of playing baseball. He said that that's the one thing his wife enjoyed as much as anything was watching him play, and so he's going to play for her now. Fly ball to left. Cal Daniels in a few steps. 2 away as Mitchell goes back to first.
Pete Rose has imposed a 90-pitch limit on Robinson. You know, maybe give or take a few pitches if he goes 93 or 94. But I wonder if that plays on his mind right now, saying to himself, well, listen, I just got through walking Mitchell. I got to come back and get this guy on a couple of pitches because I want to pitch the whole game, especially being on national television.
You know, that's a good point, because the guys who you have deep counts against, who foul off a lot of pitches and everything, pretty soon it might start going through your mind, gee, that's 7, 8 pitches to 1 hitter. You know, I better get one in there to this guy. Mitchell apparently has a problem. So he's asked for some assistance from the dugout. Working on that right ankle. He wears a protective guard when he bats, as many players do who foul balls down on their foot, and he had the trainer come out and take it, but he is still working on it, and it's his other ankle that he wears the protective cover on.
Mitchell now on the last fly out that Uribe hit, he comes back and he's limping a little bit. So you got to wonder if the ankle was bothering him before the game even started, or if he twisted it going down to first base or whatever.
He certainly hasn't had to do anything that would indicate that. He walked, and he hasn't had to run hard off of the first base bag. And a slider catches the corner for strike one. I wonder if Mitchell's sandbagging over there.
There's a good possibility. I've seen players do it before. I wasn't never in a position to do it because they never had to worry about me running, but they could have. Mitchell saying, oh, everybody in the ballpark knows right now that I've got a bad ankle, so I'm going to steal a base.
He's not running, and Manwaring reaches out and pokes it to left center. Larkin going out, can't get it. Mitchell will be at third base, showing very little ill effect on the ankle. And the dunker puts runners at first and third with 2 out for the Giants.
Barry Larkin didn't really play this ball real well. He didn't go out for the ball right away. He was twisting and turning and really had no idea. And the left fielder and the center fielder were completely out of the play. The only guy that really had a chance to catch the ball was Barry Larkin.
So runners at first and third with 2 out, and the pitcher Kelly Downs will be the hitter. Kelly has only had 1 base hit in 19 official at bats this year, hitting a robust .053.
It's not so bad.
Takes a strike. Do you have any 1 for 19s?
Any or many? One for 19 was a good week for me.
When did you ever have 19 at bats in a week?
You know, that's a good point. 1 for 19 was a good month for me, all right? No, better yet, a good 2 months. You see, Ron Robinson's not playing around with Kelly Downs at all. He's going right after him.
And the count, no balls, 2 strikes. Outside, trying to get Downs to chase it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. First and third with 2 out. Cincinnati leading 1-0 in the top of the second inning. Mitchell carrying the tying run. Manwaring at first as Downs gets a piece of it, and it's still 1-2. Bill Fahey, the third base coach, relaying the signs from Roger Craig.
Roger must be exhausted after the game giving signs.
I tell you, one thing about it though is he doesn't move around a lot. He likes to sit as far toward the home plate end of the dugout as he can, because it gets him, he feels, the best view of all the people he wants to watch, and it hides him as best as he can from the opposing dugout. Fastball right down the middle, and Downs lifts it right down the right field line. Easy play for McClendon, and the inning is over. 2 left on 2 hits and a walk here in the second. In the middle of the second, 1-0 Cincinnati. Volleyball, of course, a game that is played with the feet as well as the hands. And Bob Trumpy, a Cincinnati celebrity, will be making his volleyball announcing debut on that Sports World program tomorrow. NBC Sports World right here at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on NBC.
And there's been bigger feats in Cincinnati Red history than the one that we just saw.
That's right. And that lady is glad you said that too. It all started right here, of course. Major League Baseball way back when. Jeff Treadway in the bottom of the order for the Reds in the bottom of the second, and a bunt attempt is foul and out of play for strike 1. Treadway hitting .256, no homers, 16 RBIs. Terry McGriff and Ron Robinson to follow against Kelly Downs. The Cincinnati Reds with a run in the first to lead it 1-0. On the corner, 0-2.
You got guys like Treadway and especially Brett Butler and guys around the league that bunt. They're the biggest pain in the necks for third basemen and first basemen because you don't know what they're going to do. You try to play a few feet in and then they hit a ground ball that just barely goes by you.
Just outside, 1-2, and it's especially difficult on the artificial turf because the ball gets to an infielder so much more quickly.
And there's some players that do it purposely just to set the defense up.
Sure. Draw that third baseman in. Low and in. 2-2. Kelly has not been getting ahead of the hitters so far today. Strike 3 is dropped, but Manwaring throws on down to Clark to complete the play. And there's one out here in the second. Second strikeout for Kelly Downs. That'll bring up Terry McGriff. Catching today. Reds, of course, also have Bo Diaz. Terry hitting just .219. Just inside. Ball 1. Breaking ball grounded to third, right at Kevin Mitchell. 2 away. Two out and nobody on here in the bottom half of the second, and Ron Robinson will be the hitter and will take his time getting to the plate.
He knows he's only got 90 pitches. He wants to get as much air time as he can.
Also, being 90 degrees, he'd like to get as much rest time between throwing those pitches as he can. But he swings at the first pitch deep to left center field. Aldretti back, can't make the play. It's a ground rule double. So much for rest time for Ron Robinson with a 2-out double.
This is one hitter that Kelly Downs tried to get ahead. And what does he do? Ron Robinson leans on it and hits a rope to left center field. It's a good swing. Pitch is right there. Butler's just watching. He can't do anything about it. Aldretti, I don't know if he played the ball real great, but Ron Robinson ends up on second base with a double. Nasty looking Ron, we'll call him.
Brillo face. And he's at second with 2 out for Barry Larkin, who singled and scored in the first. Larkin, one of a number of Olympians from the '84 team in the big leagues. Will Clark, of course, at first for the Giants, his teammate.
Aldretti did break. He did the same thing that Barry Larkin did earlier on the pop by Manwaring, where he didn't break back and go to the ball. They just drifted with it. And that's when you miss them.
Of course, in defense of the outfielders, they're not going to be playing all that deep with the pitcher up, so they do have a long way to go when he hits the ball as well as he does. But he did not, when he got there, play it smoothly. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Might play a little deeper next time.
Yeah. Down the line, Mitchell with a fine play. Can he get him at first? Yes. Kevin Mitchell with a great play to end the inning. And we'll be right back with Cincinnati leading 1-0 after these messages from your local station. There are a couple of other games underway in the big leagues this afternoon. In Cleveland, the Indians have taken a 1-0 lead over the Yankees in the top of the 3rd inning. And the other game also underway in the American League. Boston leading Baltimore also in the 3rd inning, 3-0. Kevin Mitchell with a run-saving and extra base robbing play in the bottom of the 1st or 2nd.
He makes an outstanding play on Barry Larkin here. Barry Larkin has good speed. He comes up and makes a good throw to Will Clark. The only play that he could possibly make was to backhand that ball.
He made it.
Kevin Mitchell's a good defensive third baseman. He doesn't get as much credit as he should get.
And an outstanding arm to go with it. Leadoff hitter Brett Butler in the top of the order for the Giants in the top of the third. Butler takes a strike from Robinson. Butler flied deep to right center field to right fielder McClendon to open the ball game.
Speaking of bunters.
Yes, and you can see where Chris Sabo is playing, way in. And a strike called, makes it 0-2. Now Sabo can move back, as well as Durham at first. Less likelihood, although not 100% certainty, that Butler will not try to lay one down.
Butler's not real happy with the 2 calls that Dutch Renner just made, I don't think.
1-2. Robinson has given up just 2 base hits. He has also walked 2. Boy, that pitch just did miss outside. 2-2. Robinson trying to nip that corner with a fastball. Butler might have come right out of his shoes if Dutch would have called that one a strike.
Butler's going to be a key to the success of the Giants this year. He was acquired him over the winter, hoping that he would do what he can do, and he's been doing it. If the Giants are going to win, they need him to do something.
What he will do now is go take a seat as Robinson throws him out, and there's one out here in the third.
When you acquire a guy like Brett Butler for a team such as the San Francisco Giants, you're looking for him to fill that leadoff spot, to get on base for the guys that drive him in, a catalyst. And he's been doing it for him, and he needs to do it a little bit more. I think his batting average is a little bit down. I know he's not real satisfied with it.
Chris Spire, the hitter. Butler, of course, acquired 2 leadoff, and the Giants traded Dan Gladden away to Minnesota, who had been leading off and playing center field. Spire robbed of a base hit on a fine play by Larkin in the first inning, and he takes a strike over the outside corner, and the count 1-1. You saw that graphic earlier. Chris Spire in his 18th season in the big leagues, and there's a guy also in this ballpark. Spire takes strike 2, 1-2, and there he is, the captain of the Reds, who has been around even longer than Spire has, and Davey's done it all with the same team. Former teammate of yours.
That's amazing, being on the same team. I had my own zip code assigned to me.
Carried it around with you wherever you went.
You noticed this morning when you and I came to the ballpark around 9:45, there was no batting practice for either team. Who was in the batting cage working out at 9:45 this morning was Chris Spire, his 18th season.
That's right.
That's why a guy like that hangs around for so long.
Strike 3 call on the corner. Spire didn't like it, but he is out of there. Strikeout number 1 for Robinson, and the second out here in the third inning.
That's the way guys don't hang around very long. Taking called third strikes.
But he's working at it. Will Clark walked his first time up. Will up there with 2 out and nobody on. He is tied with Andres Galarraga and Jose Canseco. They all have 16 home runs. And of course, Glenn Davis of Houston, I believe, also has 16. Canseco may have 17, as a matter of fact. That pitch just outside, 2-0 to Clark.
Concepcion and I were teammates in '69 in Nashville, and it was his first year in professional baseball from Aragua, Venezuela. And I kind of took him under my wing.
That was his first problem.
he didn't speak a word. He didn't speak a word of English. As we look at Davey in the dugout with his sunglasses down, and the only way he survived was the Denny's menu. He pointed at the pictures.
At least he could order graphically, if not verbally, right?
We talked him in one night in Nashville to eating one of our gourmet meals. We took up a little collection and had him eat an earthworm.
Breaking ball line to center on a 2-2 pitch. And a 2-out base hit by Will Clark. They've nicknamed him the Natural, and it has more to do with the stroke you just saw than the movie starring Robert Redford. Third hit for the Giants.
Robinson hangs up a little breaking ball here, and Clark takes advantage of it. Those are the pitches that you have to hit for base hits, or else you're going to have a tough time.
A lot of guys in the big leagues who make their living off pitchers' mistakes. Clark, however, can hit the good pitches as well. Here's Candy Maldonado, who struck out to end the first inning. And he takes a fastball for strike one.
Pete Rose said that he could hit the pitch down and in at a Yellowstone.
Any park, including Yellowstone.
Doesn't look like Chris Sabo's worried about Candy Maldonado bunting. If Candy bunts now, he might get a double.
Breaking ball foul off the end of the bat, and it's 0-2. And part of Maldonado's bat laying on the turf. So Candy needs a new piece of wood. Clark at first with 2 out. We're in the top of the third with Cincinnati leading San Francisco 1-0. Maldonado has Candy in script and in quotations on the back of his batting helmet. If that were Kurt Bavacqua's helmet, it would say dirty on the back.
Now, I used to put dirty on the back of my helmet, but the clubhouse guy would clean it every day. So it never stayed there, but for only one day. No, you heard Pete refer to me as dirty in the interview.
Pete gave you that nickname, did he not?
He gave me that nickname, and basically that's the only name that he knows me of. He calls me dirty. He doesn't even call me Kurt.
He may not even know your first name.
I don't even think he does.
Grounded to short. Larkin right there. He will go to Treadway at second, and the inning is over. 1 hit and 1 left in the third. And in the middle of the third, 1-0 Cincinnati. Principal owner of the Cincinnati Reds, Marge Schott, signing an autograph as we start the bottom of the third inning. And Chris Sabo leads it off. Sabo with a double in the first to tie him for the league in that department. And he's also hit now in 13 of his last 15 games, hitting over 400. Popped up in foul territory behind home plate. Manwaring with a look, but it's back on the other side of the screen, and the count 1-1.
Roger Craig said that Manwaring is one of the best young defensive catchers that he's seen come along in a long time.
I had not seen him until last night. And even though the Reds were running wild, he was throwing well. He comes out with a very quick release and good strong throws and handles himself very well. Just outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. Manwaring from the thriving metropolis of Horseheads, New York.
Okay.
Which is, I guess, sister city to Moose Jaw. This one is gone. Home run for Chris Sabo, and the Reds lead 2-0. Sabo with its 8th home run of the year, leading off the third inning to give Cincinnati a 2-0 lead.
Now we know why Chris Sabo is one of Pete Rose's favorite players. Kelly Downs tried to get in on him a little bit with a fastball, and it didn't work. Sabo hits it well, and he knows it's gone.
So Sabo continues his torrid pace.
He has a crew cut. Marge Schott must love him. No mustache and a crew cut.
It's her new favorite son, Kurt Stillwell, whom they traded to Kansas City. Used to be. Here's Cal Daniels, who struck out in the first, and it's strike 1. A lot of players around the leagues going to the shortly cropped coiffure.
The low maintenance cut.
You don't need as many oil changes.
That's right. You know, Sabo's putting the Cincinnati Reds in a tough situation with Buddy Bell on the bench. Got Tracy Jones as we look at Daniels swinging and missing, Buddy Bell is in a situation where he's not hitting the ball very well. Sabo's hitting over 300, and Pete Rose just absolutely loves him, although Pete Rose loves Buddy Bell also.
Down low, 2-2.
But it's a tough situation because they got John Milner coming back from drug rehabilitation, and Tracy Jones also coming off an injury.
3-2 now.
I might have said John Milner. It's Eddie Milner. John Milner's an old team of mine with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And what they're going to do when those guys are eligible to come back on the list remains to be seen, and Buddy Bell seems like he might be the odd guy out.
The fact is, both those guys are eligible to come back. There is ball 4 to Daniels, who walks and leads the league in walks with his 49th of the season. Both Milner and Jones could come back at any time, and I think one of the reasons they have not made a move is they're trying to figure out what to do. They don't know what to do. And there was a meeting between General Manager Murray Cook and Manager Pete Rose this morning that may have addressed that very subject. Paul O'Neill, the batter, and he takes a strike. O'Neill drove in the Reds' first run with a sacrifice fly to center in the first inning. Daniels at first, a run in on Sabo's leadoff home run. Nobody out here in the third. Gets O'Neill, and on the play Daniels moves down to second with 1 out. You were talking earlier, Kurt, about the artificial surface.
Watch this ball bounce up in the air. He has to actually jump for a weak ground ball.
It's a little springy out there today in more ways than one. Leon Durham intentionally walked back in the first inning. Kelly Downs has been scrambling in every inning so far. In the dirt, ball 1.
Kelly Downs is going to find out that the more he pitches in the major leagues, the more he has to find out that he's got to get ahead of the hitters to be successful.
And now he's behind Durham, 2 balls, no strikes. If any pattern has developed so far, indicative of the fact that the Reds are leading 2-0 at this point, it's that Downs has been behind the hitters. Robinson has, for the most part, been ahead of the hitters. Rip to right field. Maldonado on the run, makes the catch on the warning track. Daniels tagging up and now trying to go to third. He's in there. Only because the throw short hopped Kevin Mitchell. Daniels was halfway and went back to tag up, and he's lucky he made it to third.
Look at Maldonado make a fine running catch. Uses the wall to push off of to get the throw back in. Now Cal Daniels doesn't make a real good base running move right here, but it comes out okay, and he's fine.
And the reason it really wasn't is because if Maldonado doesn't catch that ball, Daniels is going to score anyway. He doesn't have to come halfway. He should have tagged up to begin with, and he's lucky he wasn't thrown out. McClendon grounds it to third. Mitchell throws him out, and the inning is over. But the Reds pick up a run on Sabo's homer, and at the end of 3, they lead 2-0 over San Francisco. And now here's a look at a very special Olympic moment.
An American tradition continues. In 1973, Reggie Jackson was named League MVP as he led the Oakland A's to their 2nd consecutive World Series championship. Now, Mark McGwire powers the first-place A's as they host the Twins, or the Mets face the Cubs. The tradition is here. The memories are waiting.
Be sure to stay tuned to NBC Sports today for the second half of the baseball doubleheader. Some of you will see the Padres taking on Kurt Gibson and the LA Dodgers, and others will see the Blue Jays against the surging Detroit Tigers next, right here on NBC, the home of the 1988 World Series. Steve Zabriskie along with Kurt Bavacqua here with you in Cincinnati, where the weather is outstanding, but I think, Kurt, other than baseball, they'd like to have some rain around here. It's been very dry.
It really has been dry. You know, as a matter of fact, I was coming to the park yesterday, and I saw 2 trees fighting over a dog. That's how dry it was. I don't know what to say, but I'm bummed. Forget it. Let's get back to baseball.
Now that's dry. 2-0 Cincinnati as we start the 4th inning, and Mike Aldrete leads it off against Ron Robinson and takes the ball. Mike Aldrete out of Stanford University, and the Stanford Cardinal won their 2nd straight college baseball World Series earlier this month. Fastball right in there, and the count 1 ball 1 strike. Aldrete with a base hit leading off the 2nd inning, a single to center, and then was caught stealing. The breaking ball is in the dirt. 2 balls 1 strike. A sun-drenched day, which is good for baseball, but bad for the farmers around here. Dogs or no dogs. Check swing, but it's a strike anyway. 2 balls 2 strikes.
You can almost see that Aldrete's a good hitter, and the way you look at a good hitter is if he doesn't jump at the ball when it's delivered. If you watch Aldrete's stride and the way he approaches it, you can see that he doesn't jump at it.
And he takes a little bit high, 3-2. He also has exhibited great patience and a good eye at the plate, which is somewhat unusual for young hitters. A high fastball lofted down the left field line, slicing foul, and it's going to be out of play. So Aldrete will come back for another 3-2 pitch.
Take a look at that stride. It's short, compact. You just know he's going to be a good hitter. He is a good hitter.
One thing as a hitter you really have to do, and it's sometimes hard to do, is let the ball come to you. A lot of guys want to go out and get it, and pitchers love that when you go out and get the ball. That 90 pitch count that you talked about, Kurt, he's 66 already. 3-2 pitch just outside, ball 4. Now let's go back to our NBC studios and Marv Albert for an update.
Thank you, Steve. In Cleveland, here's the catch of the day. Joe Connor of the Indians with the drive. Ricky Henderson, coming off an ankle injury, illustrates that he is okay. A spectacular catch. 4th inning, Indians lead the Yanks 2-0. Back to Steve and Kurt. And Kurt, we're anxiously waiting for you to go to your A material.
Well, he would, Marv, if he had some.
Sorry, Marv, all my material's D.
Aldrete drawing a throw as Kevin Mitchell is the hitter.
Oh, you know, it's bad news when people are listening to you. Now, what is Pete Rose going to do if Ron Robinson comes up with 90 pitches and he's not through the 5th inning yet? And he's leading in the game.
He'll have a tough decision to make, and those are the decisions for which he is paid. He'll be talking to Scott Breeden, the pitching coach, and a decision will be made. Ron Robinson right now pitching a 3-hit shutout. We are, of course, only in the 4th inning. And he has thrown 66 pitches plus. Popped up and playable in the infield with Aldrete running on the play, and all the way from first, Leon Durham to help out Terry McGriff and make the play for out number 1. And Aldrete, of course, holds at first.
Now, with a younger first baseman, you'd probably see the first baseman stand at first and let the catcher take that ball, but it's a lot easier for the infielder come back and take that ball than it is for the catcher. McGriff has absolutely no idea where it is, or it would have been a tough play for him. So that's a good play by the ball.
The infielders have that ball in front of him, and the catcher really has that ball going away from him. There's a big difference in trying to catch a pop-up under those two circumstances. Jose Uribe flying out to left his first time up, batting here with Aldrete at first and 1 out. Foul back for strike 1. You can see what Jose has meant to this team, and that is as much an indication of the importance of Uribe to the Giants as it also is a shortstop to any ball club.
Shortstop's a very important part of a ball club. That's why the Detroit Tigers are where they are right now, because of the shortstop and the second baseman.
Grounded sharply to second. Treadway bobbles, gets the out at second, but not in time at first. Whether or not he would have been able to get the runner at first, Uribe, had he not bobbled the ball, remains to be seen. Probably not. So Uribe exchanges with Aldrete at first on the fielder's choice, and they're now 2 out. And that'll bring up young Kurt Manwaring, who singled to left center his first time up.
Kurt spells his name wrong.
Differently than you, anyway.
Oh, he spells it wrong.
At least his name is spelled like dirt. You should have changed the spelling of your first name to the way he spells it, and you'd have had something.
I looked into that, but it cost $175, and I was only making $400 at the time, a month.
Okay. On the corner, Dutch Rennert has been calling that pitch all day. And whether or not the hitters like it is a moot point. If Dutch or any umpire is consistent, you've got to go up there as a hitter knowing that that pitch is going to be called a strike. The pitch is taken for a ball, and Uribe is in there with a stolen base. His 4th stolen base of the year.
The other thing to think about is that it's rather hot down there today. And the veteran hitters know that if the pitch is close, they better swing at it.
That's right. The umpire's got all that gear on, and he better be hacking. 2 balls, 1 strike to Manwaring, with Uribe now at second. And a strike called again. That pitch at the knees in the outside corner, and McGriff is going to continue to set up out there, and Robinson's going to pitch out there as long as they keep getting the call. Manwaring upset enough to where he stepped out to recollect himself. And there goes McGriff again, but this time it's farther outside, and it's 3-2.
Manwaring's probably saying to himself, boy, that ball's a strike. I'm in a tough league.
That's right. I'm going back to AAA voluntarily. He hits it off the end of the bat. Coming up on it is O'Neill, and he makes the play, and the inning is over. A walk and 1 left in the 4th for San Francisco. After 3.5, it's still 2-0 Reds. Dutch Rennert behind the plate on a hot day with some paper towels to towel off with, and a little sip of water even between innings. Jeff Treadway, who led off the second, does likewise in the 4th as he fouls it off out of play for strike 1. Treadway, in leading off the second, struck out swinging. One of 2 strikeouts recorded by Kelly Down. Cincinnati leading San Francisco 2-0 as we start the bottom half of the 4th. Fastball is right in there. 0-2. One of the reasons Dutch works so hard is that strike call. He works harder. You see some umpires, they just go up with the right hand, but Dutch gets every fiber of his being into the call. Ooh, baby. The hip pointer. And I think, as the case was with Hammaker last night against Davis, no intent here.
Ball's way inside. It just got away from him. That had to hurt a little bit.
Boy, ooh, right square. Hammaker hit a couple of batters in the first inning last night, and when he hit Davis on the elbow, it was also no balls and 2 strikes, and he had pitched outside and was trying to come back in. Downs looked to be doing exactly the same there against Treadway, and here's Terry McGriff.
Well, the last thing Kelly Downs wants to do is lose a hitter 0-2, especially the leadoff hitter.
And put another hitter on base, as Downs has had runners on base in every inning. McGriff grounded to third his first time up. Rolled away, ball one. Now McGriff forgot to look down to third base coach Bruce Kim, and they had to yell at him. He was ready to get back in there, and finally they got his attention, and he stepped out to check the signs.
Even if you're not going to get a sign, or even if nothing's going on, they like you to look down there to get the defense to even think that something's going on.
About the easiest way to pick up a sign is if you only look down when there is something on.
And the other thing is, while the third base coach is giving you the signs, to turn away right away as soon as you see the hit and run or the bunt.
Don't watch the end of the sequence. Pitch out. Roger Craig thought there might be something on, but then he does that a lot. 2 balls, no strikes. Manwaring peeking around Dutch Renner to see his manager.
Now that pitch out puts Kelly Downs in a tough situation. Instead of being possibly 1-1, now he's 2-0. He's got to come into the hitter.
But he's high, and it's 3-0. An excellent point, Kurt, because here's a guy in Downs who has struggled all game long, been behind almost every hitter. It sort of probably negates a little of what Roger Craig would like to do, but by putting pitch outs on, he isn't helping Downs at all. 3-1 now. Checks with the third base coach.
Roger's just saying that no sign, just pitch to him.
Ball 4. A hit batter and a walk. And the Reds have the first 2 aboard here in the 4th.
Now we got Chris Spire coming in towards the mound. And what he's doing is he's looking at Roger Craig in the dugout and finding out what bunt play they want on, because this is a situation where it's definitely bunt. They can have the third baseman charge, the shortstop go over and cover third. They got the first and third baseman going in. There's a lot of different situations that you can do, and on this AstroTurf, it's tough for a hitter to get down a bunt in certain situations.
Chris Spire gave the sign to the rest of the infielders as he went back to his position. We'll see if they employ the rotation play, where the third baseman charges and the shortstop covers third. They're not. The pitch is inside to Robinson, and they throw through, and they got him. Jeff Treadway picked off as Jose Uribe circled around him, and very alertly Manwaring threw down to pick him off second base.
Manwaring comes up firing right here. This shows you why Roger Craig likes him as a catcher. Outstanding throw, and Treadway was out in no man's land. From another angle here, we can look at the tag. He's dead meat. Doesn't have a chance to get back, and that's a tough play for a base runner. It really is. When a guy bunts through the ball, you're kind of halfway in between. You don't know what to do, but he will catch a little bit of Pete Rose when he gets back in the dugout.
Robinson still bunting. It's a fair ball. They throw to second. No play there, but they get Robinson at first. Had the throw been good at second base, they had a shot at forcing McGriff. And again, quick reactions by Manwaring, who just muscled up on the throw a little bit.
Robinson bunts this ball, takes one big hop. Manwaring pounces on it. Just makes a little bit of a high throw to second base. If he hadn't, they're going to be out of the inning.
Uribe at least getting 1 out as they get Robinson at first. He will be credited with a sacrifice, and it's of course the routine 2-6-3 sacrifice. See that every day.
Yeah.
Barry Larkin, who is having a significantly better June this year than he did last year. Up there with McGriff at second, and now 2 out. In the dirt, good play by Manwaring. Ball 1.
Manwaring smothered that ball. He knew it was going to be a split finger fastball. He knows it's got a chance to be in the dirt. He doesn't want that runner to continue on to third base where there's 4 or 5 different chances that he can score other than a base hit.
The fastball grounded to third. Kevin Mitchell with that strong arm, and the inning is over. A walk and one left in the fourth. Still 2-0 Cincinnati over San Francisco. We're back after these messages from your local station. An Elvis banner you don't ordinarily see at the ballpark, and we remind you that this telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. We have completed 4 here at Riverfront in Cincinnati, and a big crowd on hand on a sun-drenched day. 2-0 Cincinnati leading San Francisco. The Reds have really had the Giants number this year as they are going for their 7th win in 11 games. Pitcher Kelly Downs will lead off the top half of the 5th inning for the Giants. He flied to right his first time up. Breaking ball right in there for strike 1. Another fly ball, this one to center field, and Paul O'Neill will gather it in, 1 away. Well, Downs may be only 1 for 21 this year, but he's making contact. And now the top of the order, and Brett Butler, who will take his sweet time. Leadoff hitters have to work on this in the preseason. They're stalling when the pitcher has batted. Give him some extra time.
It irritates the umpires too.
Yep, I hate that. Butler probably comes out early before the game and takes extra stalling.
Mike Hargrove was the best natural leadoff hitter
He should have
that you could possibly have.
The human rain delay. He walked 10 miles around the batter's box in each at bat, stepping out, stepping in. Butler takes a strike. Butler's fly deep to right center and tapped back to Robinson, the pitcher. And again, Sabo creeping up ahead of the bag just in case. But Butler swings away and fouls it back, and it's 0-2. Brett leads the Giants with 17 stolen bases this year, and he has stolen 9 straight without being caught. But he must get aboard, and now with 2 strikes you can see that Sabo has moved back at third base.
I found during my career, Steve, that the toughest base to get to was first.
There's about 650 guys I think who would agree with you wholeheartedly throughout the major leagues. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Ron Robinson has done the exact thing that you have to do with a guy like Butler, and he's got ahead of him. He didn't put him in a situation where he's 2-1, 3-1, where he's got a chance to do a lot of different things.
He just missed there, a little bit inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Because Butler will bunt 3-1, 2-0, where normally hitters are going to swing away and try to hit a double. But if Butler gets on, there's a chance that he does have a double because of his speed.
He doesn't really have a high success percentage of stolen bases, though. Hits this ball very well to right field. McClendon on the run, off the top of the wall. Butler will have at least 3 as he's heading for third. O'Neill up with the ball, and Butler will be held at third with a stand-up triple. He did anything but bunt at that time, as he just missed a home run by about a foot.
Watch McClendon go back on this ball. Had no chance to catch it. Came off the wall. If O'Neill hadn't come over and made a heads-up play, but Brett Butler might have had an inside the park home run.
So Butler is at third with 1 out for Chris Spire. McClendon perhaps showing a little inexperience in the outfield. Spire 0 for 2, has grounded to short and struck out looking. Takes a high fastball, ball 1.
Take another look at this play now. If Clinton had presence enough to play that ball off the wall and hold Butler to a single, or a double rather, then Spire's got to get a base hit to drive Butler in. Now he can drive him in with a ground ball or a sac fly.
Oh, those little intangible things that make all the difference in the world. In the American League, the Yankees have come back now against Cleveland and lead 3-2 in the top half of the 5th inning at Cleveland. And Boston has extended their lead over Baltimore 4-0 now in the bottom of the 5th. Underway in Chicago, Montreal, and the Cubs. Fastball off the end of the bat. They got the runner hung up. Butler between third and home.
Now Butler's going to try to stay in this rundown long enough to get Spire to second base, which he has done, and that's a heads-up play.
Probably ill-advised, however, that he broke for home on that particular ball. Anywhere but the third baseman, yes. But a ball hit directly to third, that's going to happen every time.
I hear Butler's watching Spire as he rounds first, knowing that if he can get him to second base, at least it'll pacify Roger Craig enough when he goes into the dugout, he's not going to bite his head off. But the comebacker to the mound is the toughest ground ball for a guy at third base.
That's really true. You don't have a good angle on it.
Well, the third base is standing. Bill Fahey's standing over there saying, listen, you're going to go on everything but to Sabo, to third baseman. So he sees the ball hit that way. He knows it's not at Sabo, and he goes.
Will Clark, the batter. 1 for 1 plus a walk. And as you can see, Clark has worn out the Cincinnati Reds. Line away. Ball 2.
If Will Clark gets into one, it's not going to matter whether the runner was on second or third anyway.
No, it's true. But if you can, you want to try to keep that runner at third, because even with 2 out, there are a number of ways you can score from third that you can't score from second. 2 balls, 1 strike. We were talking about that, in fact, during the commercial. There are 5 ways to score, as Robinson is 1 pitch away from that 90 limit. So we'll see what happens after this half inning.
I hope he gets Will on this pitch.
So does he. O'Neill on the run, won't get there, and it bounces over his head. Spire will score. Clark now going for third as the ball rolls around in the outfield, and he is in. We'll see whether they give him a double and an error, or whether it is in fact a triple all the way. But Clark drives in the first San Francisco run to make it 2-1 Cincinnati with a 2-out base hit. It's going to be scored a triple all the way.
O'Neill flips the ball behind his back so the left fielder can throw it in. That was a good play on his part.
Eric Davis tried that the other night to flip it to Cal Daniels, the left fielder, and the ball got away for an error, and an inside the park home run resulted from it.
Let's take another look at it. Now O'Neill is the one that's going to get the ball. Now watch this without even looking. He flips the ball. That's a pretty good heads-up play right there.
Maldonado fouls it off. Had he not done that, Clark had a shot at an inside the park home run. Frank Williams up in the bullpen, throwing for the Cincinnati Reds. Tim Burtsis also out there. A strike call to Maldonado, and it's 1-2.
Ron Robinson is the only pitcher on the Cincinnati staff that hasn't committed a balk this year.
And he won't this time either. Maldonado punches it out of play over the Cincinnati dugout. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 out. Will Clark at third, and a run in for the Giants, who have 2 triples in this inning. The Giants have now out-hit the Reds 5-4, although Cincinnati still leads 2-1. Breaking ball, ripped foul. I bet you Candy'd like to have that pitch back.
Ron Robbins saying to himself, I just want to get this guy out. Watch Candy Maldonado turn on this high breaking ball. Just rips it into the left field seats.
Just a little too far out in front. That probably looked like about the size of a basketball coming up there.
Now this is going to be Robinson's last inning. He's probably thrown almost 100 pitches now. And Pete Rose gave him that 90-pitch limit, so he's going to get this guy out to get the win.
Another breaking ball ripped into the seats down the left field line, and it's still 1-2.
Going to have the possibility of a win because there's still a lot of baseball left to play.
We are in the top half of the 5th inning as Pete looks on, and now he has sent Scott Breeden out to the mound to talk to Ron Robinson. Williams and Britzis continue to throw. So we'll see if in fact Robinson gets out of this inning. Be a little unusual that they would lift him right now with a 1-ball 2-strike count on Maldonado, but Maldonado has been hammering pitches down the left field line.
Scott Breeden is probably telling him that, listen, your breaking balls are up, just concentrate, get this hitter, and your day's through. You've done a good job. He's going to try to get this breaking ball or fastball on the outside part of the plate.
Fastball fouled back right into the Cincinnati radio booth. Joe Nuxhall, the old left-hander, protecting his trophy there. Nice going, Nuxie. Marty Brenneman and Joe Nuxhall calling the game on Reds radio. Still 1 ball 2 strikes to Maldonado.
Nuxie comes out every day and throws batting practice when the Reds are home.
Probably what he got that trophy for. Way outside, 2-2.
You can see Ron Robinson struggling a little right now, so I think Pete Rose put a perfect pitch limit on him.
He's thrown 98 now. 8 over the limit Pete had set.
He's also got an elbow situation where the doctors really can't do anything for it until something happens to it.
This should get him out of the inning as Treadway comes up with the ground ball, throws to Durham, and it is over. 1 run on 2 hits. It is now 2-1 Reds in the middle of the 5th inning here in Cincinnati. Ron Robinson, leaving the game, had to get through that 5th inning in order to get the victory, have any hope of it. Leading 2-1, gets congratulations all around as he battled and struggled in the 5th, but got through it, leading by a run, and we'd have to assume his day's work is done. Chris Sabo, who homered leading off the 3rd, leads off the 5th and hits a drive in the gap in left center. Butler can't get it. Sabo rounding second. He's going to hold there as he settles for a double, his 2nd of the game, to go with a home run. Double, homer, double for Chris Sabo, and they love him here in the Queen City of Cincinnati. He has become the king.
Another breaking ball by Kelly Downs, and Sabo just rips it into the left field gap. Well, he's a good-looking hitter. Still don't know about those glasses, though.
Well, I'll tell you what, they obviously help him see the ball. He has been right on with a ringing double in the 1st, a towering home run to left in the 3rd, and his 2nd and league-leading double to lead off the 5th inning. Now Kelly Downs faces Cal Daniels. Downs has had runners on base in every inning, and Daniels takes a fastball for strike 1. Daniels, last time up, walked for his league-leading 49th time, and he is now the only player in the National League with an on-base average of over 400. Darryl Strawberry is 2nd at 395. Sharply hit to 2nd. Spire looked at 3rd, but no chance, and gets the out at 1st. Let's go back to our NBC studios and Marv Albert for an update.
Thank you, Steve. In Cleveland, a 5-run 5th for the Yankees, highlighted by Dave Winfield, unloading his 15th home run of the season. This with a man on, 57 RBIs for Winfield, leads the majors in that department. Yanks now lead the Indians 5-2 in the 5th. Back to Stephen Kerr.
Thanks, Marv. Here in Cincinnati in the bottom of the 5th, the Reds lead 2-1. And Cincinnati threatening again with Sabo now at third and 1 out for Paul O'Neill, who has a sacrifice fly and is grounded out 0 for 1. He fouls it off into the upper deck for strike 1.
Managers love guys that do just what Cal Daniels just did. Basically, you could almost tell that he gave himself up just to hit a ground ball to the right side of the infield to get Sabo to third base and put him in scoring position. And Pete Rose was the first guy out of the dugout to congratulate him.
On the ground to first, Will Clark will come home, and they get Sabo. Sabo, who last night made a great slide around Manwaring to score a run, tried to do the same thing this time, but Manwaring would have none of it.
Cincinnati's given away a couple of runs here with ground balls to the infield. Now here, Sabo really doesn't have a chance to score. Will Clark makes a nice throw to Manwaring, and he cuts off home plate. Let's take another look at it. Here's Sabo breaking right away. He got a good break to home, but he just can't get there. Tries to deep Dutch run it a little bit, but didn't get away with it.
I'll tell you what, he didn't tag him, and Manwaring knew he didn't tag him because he went after him again, even though Dutch made the call. And
I don't think Sabo touched home plate.
No, he didn't, but Dutch makes the call
Let's take
anyway.
a look at it right here. Now, I don't think he can reach back. Now, he didn't get home plate.
But watch Manwaring. He knows he didn't tag him, so he gets up and goes after him. Nonetheless, Sabo's out either way, and Bull Durham now takes ball 2. Leon now has a movie named after him. New movie out called Bull Durham, about the Durham Bulls minor league team. Of course, that's Leon's nickname. 2 balls, 1 strike. There's Sabo sans goggles. Much better looking without the goggles, even with that haircut.
He's got to be a little tired right now.
He's been running around the bases. O'Neill at first, 2 out. O'Neill draws a throw. O'Neill has been caught in his only 2 stolen base attempts. Swing and a miss, 2-2. Durham has been struggling at the plate, hitting only .222. .220 now in this at bat with his 0 for 1. The runner goes, and the 2-2 pitch swung on and missed for strike 3, and the inning is over. The Reds threaten, but they do not score, and at the end of 5, it's Cincinnati 2, San Francisco 1. The NBC Game of the Week is being brought to you this afternoon by Mitsubishi Motors, who invite you to come see the full line of cars and trucks. Mitsubishi, suddenly the obvious choice. Frank Williams will be the new pitcher for Cincinnati in relief of Ron Robinson as we go to the 6th inning with the Reds leading the Giants 2-1. Robinson just over that 90-pitch limit and struggling to get through 5, in a position to win the ball game if the Reds bullpen can hold it for him. For the 3rd time in the game, Mike Aldretti, the 5th place hitter, will lead it off to start the 6th inning. A little bit high and away, ball 1. Williams making his 26th appearance of the season. He's worked 26 2/3 innings. Ground ball. Williams can't get it, but Larkin can, and there's 1 out. Elsewhere in baseball, the Yankees now, as you saw with Winfield homering, lead Cleveland 5-2 in the bottom of the 5th inning. Also in the American League, Boston still leading Baltimore 4-0, bottom of the 6th inning. In the National League, Chicago has scored against Montreal. They lead 1-0 in the top of the 3rd. Here's Kevin Mitchell with 1 out and nobody on. Mitchell has walked and popped out. The sidearm breaking ball, low and inside, ball 1. One thing about Kevin Mitchell,
Gets a lot of extra base hits, doesn't he?
he is strong. His nickname, one of his nicknames, is 747. Check swing foul, and the count 1-1. 45% of Mitchell's base hits have been for extra bases. He has 11 doubles, 5 triples, and 7 home runs. A total of 23 out of 51 hits for extra bases.
Well, you're on the ball, aren't you?
What teamwork.
God, it's great working with a professional.
As soon as one shows up, we're going to put him right in here. Mitchell to be followed by Jose Uribe. In the Giants' 6th. Inside again, 2-1. Giants have started activity in their bullpen. Don Robinson, no relation to Ronnie, up and throwing. Grounded to short, right at Larkin. And very quickly, 2 out here in the 6th. That'll bring up Jose Uribe, whose name, when he first broke into the big leagues, was Jose Gonzalez. But Jose decided there were too many Jose Gonzalez's around, and in order to stand out, he decided he would use his middle name. His name is actually Jose Uribe Gonzalez, which caused one wag to note that Jose is truly the player to be named later.
That's right. But I know my name was Bob Brown when I first started.
You should have heard mine before I changed it. Deep fly ball to right. Room for McClendon, who drifts with it and makes the catch. Williams gets them in order in the 6th. Still 2-1 Reds after 5.5. They come from miles around to Cincinnati. They come from Kentucky, all over Ohio, parts of Indiana. Especially on the weekends, they love their Reds baseball. Lloyd McClendon, starting the 6th inning for Cincinnati, takes a strike. McClendon 0 for 2 is popped to third and grounded to third. Grounds one that way, but it's foul. 0-2. Rob Murphy, the left-hander, now up and throwing for the Reds. Reds got a lot of guys like Murphy and Browning and Robinson. They're sort of tough-looking kids. Pete's kind of guys. Uribe will handle this one, and McClendon is out, 1 away in the bottom of the 6th.
Pete was telling me before the game today that last year Murray gave me a little trivia quiz. He said, I put Murphy in 9 games last year in a row. He said, how many hitters do you think he faced? I said, I don't know, Pete. I wasn't there. And he said 9.
That's what you call specialization.
So he used them right, didn't he?
Well, he's got a 1-run ball game here. So he's getting ready for the left-handed hitting San Francisco Giants. Jeff Treadway 0 for 1, struck out and was hit by a pitch. Looked at ball 1 low. High and away, ball 2.
It's probably one of the toughest parts about going in and starting off as a major league manager is using your pitchers, especially when you weren't a pitcher.
Popped up, could be playable down the left field line. Drifting toward the seats, however. Oh, I think what happened was Aldretti lost the ball in the sun, but there might have been some interference on the part of a fan. Aldretti's not really complaining. I think he lost it in the sun, and it kind of surprised him. The third base umpire, Harry Wendelstedt, was down there.
It was pretty close, but I think it was in the stands. It came off and hit Aldretti in the arm also.
Looked like it just caught the railing.
He didn't give that fan a very nice look, did he?
No, but you know, he didn't complain to Wendelstedt about it, and you would think that if he felt that he was interfered with, he would have.
Treadway loves the swing of that pitch down and in.
That's the left-hander's meat right there. Fouled again the other way. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Let's see if a fan did interfere.
Sure did, didn't it?
Yep. Now the rule is that if the ball is in the playing field, fans cannot interfere or the batter may be called out. If the ball is in the stands and the player goes into the stands, then the call cannot be made because the fans have an equal right to the ball, I guess, under the rule. And strike 3 called, takes care of Treadway. Kelly Downs is lucky to be in this ball game and lucky to be trailing by only 1 run. He has struggled in every inning. He has righted himself a little bit lately as he has retired the last 5 in a row. And he has done it with more of an economy of pitches than did Ron Robinson through the first 5, who was near 100 pitches when he left. Fastball fouled off by Terry McGriff. Strike 1. McGriff 0 for 1, walked in the 4th inning.
And getting back to the possible fan interference rule, it has to, the umpire has to believe that the defensive player could have caught the ball also. So maybe in that situation, Harry Windelstad didn't think that Aldrete could get to the ball.
But it looked like he had a play, but it would have been a very difficult play. And in that regard, I guess it's a little like the infield fly rule. If in the judgment of the umpire, the play can be made. Good breaking ball. McGriff swings and misses, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Earlier, I mentioned Downs and his seeming inability to get out of trouble. He has pitched out of trouble on numerous occasions today. Just misses inside with a fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. McGriff batting with 2 out and nobody on. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning, and the Reds lead the Giants 2-1. Base hit down the left field line. McGriff will be going for 2 as Aldrete plays it out of the corner, and it's a 2-out stand-up double for Terry McGriff.
Here's Aldrete playing the ball out of the corner. That was a funny carom, but he played it well. That's a tough corner down there because the lines are so close to the cement stands.
And also the wall along the foul side is now padded, and if the ball after going fair should hit the padding, you really don't know how it's going to come out. I think the thing that helped Aldrete was he didn't rush in after the ball. He let the carom develop and then played it very nicely. That little extra angle there can make it kind of tough if the ball hits right in there.
Could create a little havoc.
The other factor, of course, is with 2 out, Aldrete's probably figuring that McGriff's not going to take the chance of being thrown out at 3rd anyway, so he has a little more time. Well, now, with a pinch hitter, Norm Sherry out to the mound to talk to Kelly Downs. Nick Asaski is going to pinch hit for Frank Williams. First base is open. There are 2 out, and the Giants are down by 1.
Norm Sherry's just trying to calm Kelly Downs down a little bit. And also, he's going over possibly the way to pitch to Asaski, even though he plays a lot. Most of the time, pitchers will go over the lineup with the coaches and the catcher, and not necessarily the pinch hitters and the guys that are on the bench as much. So they're reinforcing the way to pitch to Nick Asaski.
Good point, and the fact that Asaski also doesn't pinch hit that often. He's 0 for 2 as a pinch hitter. And a good play by Manwaring of another one in the dirt for ball 1. It's impractical to go over all the hitters before the game, and a lot of guys think that it's worthless to go over even the lineup. It seems like every meeting it's high and tight, low and away. Next hitter, high and tight, low and away. Another one in the dirt, ball 2.
Pitchers will just listen at some of those meetings to some of the veteran players. They could learn a lot, but I've seen pitchers are just in a different world on the day they're pitching.
Only on the day they're pitching? Pitchers have to be a little different breed to begin with. Saski hitting .262.
Saski just might get the green light here.
3 balls, no strikes. He was ready, and he did swing, says Dutch Rennert, even though the pitch was low. 3 balls, 1 strike. Some guys don't like to hit 3-0. Did you mind hitting 3-0?
I never got the hit sign 3-0. No, actually, Dick Williams gave me the hit sign a few times 3-0, and I took advantage of it. I mean, any player that's afraid to hit 3-0 is going to have a tough time hitting 0-2.
Foul back, and the count now 3-2 as Downs has battled back. McGriff still in second. He had a 2-out double. And a Saski pinch hitting for Frank Williams.
Last thing Kelly Downs wants to do right now is give up a home run to Nick Saski, so he's not going to give him anything good to hit.
And he gave him a split finger fastball, which is not good to hit, and strikes him out. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 1 hit and 1 left. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Still one of the most memorable memories of All-Star Game play. The 1970 All-Star Game right here in Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati for the National Leaguers. Pete Rose rounding third and heading for home. Ray Fosse the catcher. Rose and Fosse collide. Fosse's career never the same after that. But Pete Rose's career exemplified by that play at the plate in the 1970 All-Star Game, the debut year of Riverfront Stadium. And in 1988, the All-Star Game will be right here in Cincinnati once again this coming July. And of course, Pete will be watching as intently as anybody else.
I got a little quiz for you. Who's the only player in Major League history ever to get 2 hits for 2 different teams in the same day?
I happen to know that answer.
Well, let's find out how good you really are.
It is Joel Youngblood. Here's Rob Murphy, though, who is the new pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. And he is facing with an 0-3 record and 1 save. Murphy, the 3rd pitcher for Cincinnati. And as you can see, the Reds have had a hard time saving games. And the pitch right on the corner. It's 0-2 to the man who is the only man to have 2 hits in 1 day for 2 different teams, Joel Youngblood.
I'm proud of you. I saw him come out on the on-deck circle, and I knew he had done that. And I wanted to see if you knew.
He did it for the Mets in an afternoon game, was traded to Montreal. The Mets were in Chicago, and Joel got a hit, the game-winning hit for the Mets in Chicago. Went to Montreal, or went to Philadelphia, I should say. Played for Montreal in the night game the same day and had a pinch single.
I had so many opportunities in my career to get 2 hits in the same day for 2 different teams.
Right, you were traded more than Youngblood.
And they would never let me play.
He chases one in the dirt and strikes out. First strikeout for Rob Murphy.
You know, Bernie Stowe's the clubhouse man in Cincinnati talking about being traded. I was playing a doubleheader here one night with the San Diego Padres. Between games in the doubleheader, Bernie comes up to me and he goes, "I've got your name on a uniform." And I go, "You got to be kidding." I mean, I wasn't expecting to be traded. I played both ends of the doubleheader. I go back to the hotel, go to sleep. Jack McKeon calls me at 2:30 in the morning. He says, "Kurt, you've been traded." I said, "Well, I can stay right here." And he says, "No, the Pirates."
Bernie threw you a curve.
So we visited Cincinnati with the Pirates about a week and a half after that. And I said, "Bernie, you didn't tell me that you were putting my name on a Pirate uniform, not a Red uniform." Actually, they were talking to both clubs.
It just didn't work out. So Bernie had to take your name off of the uniform is what happened. Bob Brenly pinch hitting for Kelly Downs.
It's nice to know that 2 teams wanted you.
Well, that's true.
Whenever I talked to Jack McKeon about a trade, he said, "Nobody wants you."
Well, then you could tell him that story. Inside. 2 balls, 1 strike to Brenly. Bob hitting .270, 2 homers, 12 RBIs.
Speaking of Jack McKeon, he's doing a pretty good job with the San Diego Padres right now.
That's out of play. 2-2. He sure is. The Padres may be playing the best ball within the National League's Western Division at the moment. They, of course, swept the Dodgers last night, and they have really had the Dodgers number. where would they be in the standings if they hadn't beaten the first place Dodgers as many times as they have?
Kirk Gibson made a couple of rude comments about the Padres when they swept the Dodgers down in San Diego, saying they shouldn't even be on the same field as us.
Another one fouled out of play, still 2-2.
It might have gotten their adrenaline flowing a little bit, because the Padres and the Dodgers developed a pretty good rivalry starting about 1982. And ever since that time, they've played some pretty good baseball against the Dodgers, and the Dodgers have had some pretty good baseball teams.
Well, that close proximity helps develop rivalry as well as competition for division championship status. Another 2-2 pitch. This one hit up the middle, and Larkin is over there behind the bag. High throw, but Durham got it and came down on the bag to get the out. And there are 2 away here in the 7th.
You see Larkin get that ball, and he just kind of takes the throw for granted because Brenly's not a fast runner. Makes a high throw. Durham makes a good play and coming back down on the bag.
So the 2 pinch hitters retired by Murphy, and the batter will be Brett Butler. Butler has tripled in 3 at-bats.
Jose Morales, who is the hitting instructor for the San Francisco Giants, was getting a little worried about Joel Youngblood's pinch hitting expertise. Before that at bat, he was 10 for 22, and as we all know, Jose holds the National League record for pinch hits in 1 year with 25 when he was with the Montreal Expos.
Joel probably will have a chance to come close to that, as he primarily will be pinch hitting. He started last night's game. Aldretti with a swing and a miss, and that's 1-1. Or rather Butler, I should say, not Aldretti. 2 out and nobody on in the 7th. The runs have been few and far between. Cincinnati with 1 in the 1st, 1 in the 3rd to lead 2-0, and then the Giants with their only run coming in the 5th inning. Good fastball from Murphy, and you can see that Brett Butler does not always play against left-handed pitching, and he was bailing a little bit with that swing, and it's 1-2.
Actually expecting him to try to bunt, but Sabo kind of cut it off, playing him way in front of the third base bag.
Punched foul out of play. If there was any at bat in which you might anticipate Butler bunting, it would be here against a tough left-hander like Murphy. Now Sabo has moved back since Butler has had 2 strikes.
Murphy's not just going to face one hitter here. There's no action in the bullpen.
High heat blows Butler away, and Murphy retires the Giants in order and strikes out 2 in the process. Still 2-1 Reds, and we'll be back after this edition of Characters of the Game. Roger Craig is not a man given to brash or rash statements, but he did say this, Kurt, and he doesn't have much time left. Giants, of course, along with the Reds, and you talked to Pete before the game about that very thing, were expected to be right there at the top of the division, and Pete gave you some indication of why they're not. Why aren't the Giants?
The Giants have had their problems here and there. They've had off years so far by players that they were expecting a little bit better out of, and that's probably the reason. They're not too far behind, though.
No, that you look at their individuals, that some of them are doing quite well, but the Giants as a whole are not scoring runs and winning games. Don Robinson in relief of Kelly Downs. This is Don's 27th appearance, and Bob Brenly is the new catcher as he remains in the game behind home plate. He will bat 9th. Robinson will bat 8th. Barry Larkin fouls another one off, and the count to Larkin now 0-2.
They're having trouble scoring runs, and just take the last 2 games. In the last 16 innings, they've only scored 1 run. They've got guys like Will Clark, who, if you look at his statistics, he's got 16 home runs, and it looks like he's hitting the ball well, but he's not really hitting for average. I talked to Will before the game, and he said every time he makes an out, it seems it's hard hit at somebody.
This will be out of play behind the Cincinnati dugout, and the count remains 0-2, and there's Will Clark looking at it. Clark's 2 for 3 today. 2 for 2, I should say, with a walk. But the Giants really have been an enigma. They have, on paper, certainly one of the best teams in the division. A team that you would put up against anybody. They are, of course, the defending division champions. Another one out of play, and Larkin just keeps handing out the souvenirs.
Paper tends to blow away at times, though.
Yes. Robinson has survived more injuries and operations than perhaps any other pitcher in baseball right now. He's had shoulders, knees, ankle problems, elbows, you name it. Grounded to second. Thompson throws him out, or Spire rather. Let's go back to our NBC studios and Marv Albert.
Thanks, Steve. In Cleveland, Rick Roden of the Yankees served one up to Joe Carter, who goes upper deck. This one beyond the reach of Ricky Henderson, who robbed him earlier. Carter hitting his 13th of the year. Yankees now lead the Indians 5-3 in the 7th. Let's get back to Steve and Kurt.
Thanks, Marv. Here it's still 2-1 Cincinnati, bottom of the 7th. Now with one out, and the batter Chris Sabo, who received a rather rousing ovation, as well he should. 2 doubles and a homer, an RBI and a run scored in 3 at-bats. And he hits another one deep into center field. Butler won't get it, and short hops the wall. Sabo rounding second. He's going for third. He will make it with a triple. Now the ball gets away. Sabo coming home, and he scores. Cincinnati leads 3-1. And Chris Sabo better run for mayor, as he right now has probably supplanted Pete Rose as the most popular guy in this town.
Watching Chris Sabo run the bases. Now here's where Kevin Mitchell made a mistake here. He saw that he was going to be safe, and he should have went up in front of the runner and got the ball. Instead, he makes a stand-up slide. The ball hits him in the back, gets away, and it cost the Reds a run. Or the Giants a run, rather. I believe the man can hit.
Not only that, he can motor.
Still don't know about those goggles, though.
Well, the error, and a tough error it is going to be on second baseman Chris Spire, as Mitchell really nonchalanted that ball that hit Sabo in the back. Here's Cal Daniels, who takes up high. Nope, he went too far, and it's strike one. It's a 3-base hit for Sabo, who has 2 doubles, a triple, and a homer, and he scores on the error charged to Chris Spire. And the Reds now lead by 2, 3-1. And what a big run that may turn out to be. A fastball on the inside corner for strike 2 to Daniels.
Sometimes a third baseman will just stand there and deke like there's not going to be a play. And the runner will see him and nonchalantly come into third base. I don't think Chris Sabo is that type of player, but it was very evident that he was going to be safe at third. And I think Kevin Mitchell made a mistake by not going up and getting the ball.
I agree. But the error charged to Spire on the throw. Down the left field line, slicing away from Alfretti and into the corner, up in the stands, and it will be a ground rule double. Daniels trotting into second as the Reds have their extra base hitting shoes on. Still only one out. And Cincinnati now with a 2-run lead. Daniels at second, and the batter will be Paul O'Neill. Major Craig signaling to Brenly, now the catcher. O'Neill 0 for 2, plus a sacrifice fly. He drove in Cincinnati's first run in the first. On the inside corner, strike 1, and O'Neill not particularly enamored with that call. Roger doesn't have as much fun when there's a runner at second as he does when there's a runner at first.
Roger's not having much fun right now at all.
Grounded foul, 0-2.
Triples are an exciting part of baseball.
Probably the most exciting hit.
And when that runner around second, especially when he's home, when they're playing at home, and goes towards third, even though the infielders have their back to third base, they know that he's going to third because of the crowd reaction.
And the crowd was really into it. They are into it whenever Sabo is out there. If Sabo can get another at bat, which he may well do, even though we're in the 7th right now, just a measly single will allow him to hit for the cycle. Looping to left, Aldretti coming hard, gets there with a nice diving catch. He may have left a little bit of his hide on the turf, but a big play as there are now 2 away.
I'll take a look at that play. Aldretti's coming in hard all the way, makes a nice diving catch and sticks to the outfield. Let's take another look at it. Watch him when he hits that turf. He just stops. He's going to have a serious strawberry on his elbow.
It's hard on the epidermis.
That hot turf.
Scratch you and burn you at the same time. Leon Durham takes low and inside, ball 1. Durham on the day 0 for 2. He was intentionally walked back in the 1st inning. Robinson stepping off. Daniels at second, 2 out. A run in for Cincinnati on Sabo's triple and the error. A fastball in there, and it's 1 ball 1 strike to Durham.
Bull just doesn't look like the aggressive hitter he was a few years ago.
No, I think you're right. Takes one on the corner. 1 ball 2 strikes. His last time up, Durham had an aggressive rip at an 0-2 pitch, or rather a 2-0 pitch, but he wound up striking out. Maybe the fact that he struck out took some of his aggressiveness away in this at bat. It's 1 ball 2 strikes. Gets jammed and fouls it off the handle out of play. Still 1-2. Pete manages just like he played. In fact, I guess I'd have to say that the way Pete played the game is exemplary of the way he lives his life. With Berg. Gets him with a splitter. And the inning is over, but the Reds score an important run here in the 7th on 2 hits. And in the middle of the 7th, or after 7 complete, it's now 3-1. Dutch Rennert toweling off, and we have received word from Chicago that the home plate umpire in that game, Bruce Fremming, has had to leave the game because he was hit by a pitch. And the Montreal-Chicago game continues now with just 3 umpires. We hope Bruce is all right.
Steve, speaking of umpires, Harry Wendelstadt, the crew chief here, the third base umpire, sent a message up to the Diamond Division that they're not allowed to play replays anymore because of the Chris Sabo slide at home plate, where it was very evident that Mandering missed him. But what wasn't evident to the fans in Cincinnati, and they didn't want to know, was that Sabo missed home plate.
When they showed it, the fans, of course, booed because it was apparent that Manwaring missed the tag. And I think that's an indication of the fact that umpires are a little more sensitive these days than they have been in the past. And maybe part of it has to do with the replays in the stadium. If they don't want them, they don't like them. Chris Spire takes a strike, and they count 2 balls 1 strike.
I think that's something that the fans and the viewers should know.
I agree. I think the umpires are too sensitive when it comes to that, because the replay 95 or more times out of 100 shows them to be correct. 2-2 now to Spire.
The ones that used to surprise me is when I was a player and in the dugout, I would swear that guys were safe at first. The umpires would call them out. You'd watch the replay and they were out. And they do a heck of a job. They do a great job, but sometimes you're going to be wrong.
Everybody makes mistakes.
That's right.
And that's part of the human element of the game. Just outside, 3-2 to Spire. Rob Murphy, the third Cincinnati pitcher of the afternoon. Ron Robinson pitched well through the first 5 innings and stands to be the winner should the Reds hold on. They lead 3-1. First walk issued by Murphy. And Spire aboard with nobody out as we check out what else is happening. Still 5-3 Yankees over Cleveland, now in the top half of the 7th inning. Boston still leading Baltimore 4-0 in the top of the 8th inning. In the National League, that game in Chicago that was held up a little bit by Fleming's injury, 2-0 the Cubs over Montreal. And right here it's 3-1 Cincinnati over San Francisco, top of the 8th. Will Clark with a swing and a foul tip. Strike 1. Stay with us because you will be seeing either the Padres and the Dodgers from Los Angeles with Vinny and Joe, or it'll be the Blue Jays in Detroit against those Tigers making a charge in the National League, or rather American League East.
Well, Steve, I don't know how many at-bats it's been since Will Clark has hit a home run against the Cincinnati Reds, but he's homered every 12 at-bats against them in his career. Just 146 at-bats, and he's got 12 home runs against them.
That's Ruthian territory right there. He won't have one here. Treadway with it. Rob Murphy with a good play to cover it first and get Will Clark as Spire moves to second on the play. Good job by Cincinnati. The Reds have had some defensive problems this year, but not on this play.
That was a great heads-up play by the pitcher Murphy, getting over to first base. Every time a ball's hit to the right side of the infield, the pitcher should break, but yet sometimes you don't see him do it. And that was a good play by Murphy, and a big play.
They had to get an out on that ball, and they did. So Clark, who had been 2 for 2 plus a walk, finally retired, and it took a good play to do it. Spire at second for Candy Maldonado with 1 out. Candy's 0 for 3. He is struck out, grounded into an inning-ending force play, and grounded to second. Grounded to third. Sabo right there, looks it into the glove and throws him out easily. 2 away, and Spire holds at second.
Murphy got in on Maldonado that time. He didn't want to get his arms extended and give him an opportunity to hit the ball out of the ballpark, because Candy likes the ball out over the plate.
And that's one thing I think left-handed pitchers really have to do to good right-handed hitters. Pitch them inside. Some left-handers are hesitant to do that with a fastball inside to a right-handed hitter. Mike Aldretti, however, bats from the left side, and he is 1 for 2. He singled, walked, and grounded out.
And yet they're making it tougher for pitchers to pitch inside.
Well, they sure are. Strike 1. In an effort to control the violence in baseball and the beanings and the hit by pitches, some umpiring crews are more cautious about that than others, but it is getting to the point where it's tough to pitch inside. And I think pitchers have to pitch inside if they're going to win.
Absolutely imperative for a pitcher to pitch inside. If he doesn't do it, he doesn't have a chance. There are a few exceptions. Randy Jones was one of them.
Well, we have, you know, there are pitchers all over baseball who, and we see them a lot, who make their living on the outside part of the plate, no matter whether it's a right-handed or left-handed hitter. Fouled back, 1 ball 2 strikes. But even those guys, John Tudor, Bob Ojeda, pitchers like that, still occasionally must come inside to keep that outside pitch vital and vibrant for them, to keep the hitter from going out there and getting that ball. They don't necessarily pitch inside all the time, and they don't have to. Joe Price is now throwing in the San Francisco bullpen.
Joe Price is a perfect example of that. Every 4 or 5 pitches, he might throw one inside just to keep the hitter honest.
Nice play by Larkin, but he won't be able to throw anybody out. He saves a run, perhaps, as Spire Might have been able to score from second had the ball gone through. And Barry Larkin, who's been doing it at the plate, continues also to do it in the field.
Barry Larkin makes an outstanding defensive play, as you said, Steve, just to save a run. He kept the ball in the infield and he saved the run. The Reds got some good looking young players.
That's been the frustrating thing for Cincinnati. The talent they feel is there. Both Marge Schott and Murray Cook have said, we have the ball club we want to have. They're just not playing up to their capability. There's Marge. Kevin Mitchell takes the strike. When you and I were in Pete's office this morning, he showed us the bridal veil that Marge sent to him, indicative of the fact that the last 3 years under Pete, the Reds have finished second in the division, and that Marge did not want to be a bridesmaid any longer. Mitchell holds up, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. First and third with 2 out for the Giants, who have the tying runs aboard here in the 8th inning. They trail by 2.
I think the big question is going to be with the Reds this year is whether or not the young kids can hold up under the pressure of a pennant race.
Swing and a foul tip, and McGriff couldn't hold on. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now John Franco, Cincinnati's closer, starts loosening.
You look up and down their lineup and you don't really see too many guys that have been around for a long time.
And that's a good thing, though, with having guys like Buddy Bell and Dave Concepcion on the club, is that they can be a steadying influence. And a lot of guys in baseball, and I think the 2 of us included, would like to see Buddy Bell have a little postseason action before he's through. Rob Murphy sprints off the mound after striking out Kevin Mitchell with the tying runs aboard here in the 8th inning. In the 8th, still 3-1 Reds. Lloyd McClendon leads it off in the 8th inning. He fouled off Robinson's first pitch, so the count is strike 1. And that run that the Reds added in the 7th inning looming larger and larger now as we are in the bottom of the 8th. Cincinnati now leading by 2, 3-1. Chris Sabo's triple and then coming home on the error, giving the Reds some insurance. Something got out of the stands apparently, and we were waiting for it to be removed from the field. Looks like something fell off of the wall or the railing, a piece of the stadium. The bat boy is retrieving it. The place is falling apart here. So we're ready to go. 1 strike to count, and ripped foul on the left field line. Nice move by Harry Wendelstedt to avoid decapitation on the play.
We're seeing some good old-fashioned hardball today, aren't we?
Hard throwing and hard hitting. There's a good old country boy right there, Don Robinson out of West Virginia. Does not throw as hard as he used to before his operations and arm problems, but he can still get it up there, and he almost caught the corner with a breaking ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. McClendon will be followed by Jeff Treadway and Terry McGriff here in the 8th for the Reds.
I'd like to see Sabo get another at bat.
You and about 30,000 folks who are here today.
Not that I wish any ill against the San Francisco Giants.
But how many times do you have the chance to see a guy hit for the cycle? And there's Chris Sabo.
Especially 5 for 5.
One of the sad things about the manner in which the All-Star game is selected is that Chris Sabo is not going to make it. And that basically, although you can argue 2 schools of thought, do you award the guys who have a great first half, or do you vote on the players of last year? Usually it's the players who had great seasons in the past who make the current year's All-Star game, not the young players like Sabo, who are having what you should consider, I guess, an All-Star season. And here the game's going to be in Cincinnati, and what a great thing it would be for Sabo to be in it.
He absolutely should be on the All-Star team.
But he's not even on the ballot, so his chances for
I know how he feels.
Getting in there as a write-in candidate are 2, slim and none.
Spent many days writing my name in on write-in ballots.
Got writer's cramp. Strike 3 to McClendon. Second strikeout for Robinson. Steve Zabriskie along with Kurt Bavacqua bringing you game one of our NBC doubleheader game of the week today. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning here in Cincinnati as the Reds lead the San Francisco Giants 3-1. Next you'll see either San Diego at Los Angeles or Toronto in Detroit as our doubleheader day continues. Jeff Treadway takes high ball 1. The young second baseman 0 for 2. He has struck out twice and been hit by a pitch. Again, it's high, 2-0. On the corner, 2 balls, 1 strike. I will guarantee you it is hot down on that field today as you see Dave Collins is filled in nicely for the Reds. Chris Spire with another chance throws him out, and there are 2 gone here in the 8th inning. One would assume Dave Collins wearing a batting helmet would be up there in case McGriff gets aboard, as Collins is now in the on deck circle with 2 out. And would hit for Murphy.
Franco's the Reds closer, even though Murphy's been throwing the ball very well.
And John Franco is ready in the bullpen. McGriff has doubled and walked in 3 appearances. Just inside, 2-0. Pitchers don't take long to warm up on days like today. You could get loose changing your undershirt. Fastball fouled off. 2 balls, 1 strike. McGriff batting with 2 out and nobody on. And Cincinnati leading by 2. We were talking, Kurt, about how they feel they have the talent. They just aren't putting it together. And I guess that quote by Pete would sum it up.
I really think the Western Division in the National League is wide open to any one of 4 clubs.
And the way the Padres are going at only 6.5 out, stranger things have happened. So maybe even 5, although it would take a minor miracle on San Diego's part. 2-2 now to McGriff.
I think the big reason San Diego is where they are right now is because they've been beaten up on the Dodgers the last 2 weeks.
Where would they be otherwise? Breaking ball makes it 3-2 with 2 out. The Reds and the Giants both have to consider themselves fortunate, and I think in talking to them they do, because neither team has played all that well, although the Reds now have won 5 of their last 6, trying to make it 6 out of 7 today. The Giants have lost 5 of their last 6, and yet both of them are still right there within easy striking distance, because neither the Dodgers or the Astros have been able to take charge. For a while they were beating each other, and now when one of them loses, the other one can't seem to win. High down the right field line. Maldonado coming over, seeing if he has room. He does not, and it's still 3-2.
The Reds just completed a 13-game road trip in which they went 5-8 and didn't lose any ground.
And there's the division, the way it's sort of accordioned. Even the Atlanta Braves picked up 2 games on the Dodgers last night because they won a doubleheader and the Dodgers lost a doubleheader. So it's really tightened up.
The Astros got to be kicking themselves today.
Boy, they have missed more opportunities than just last night to jump over the Dodgers into first place. Foul back again, out of play.
When you've got a ball club like the Atlanta Braves that really just have one guy in the lineup that's really going to do any damage to your ball club, and you let him beat you a doubleheader, then you're not pitching right.
No, Murphy hit a home run to win the first game and then got a base hit in the last inning of the nightcap when the Braves came back with 5 runs to win the second game. Finally, McGriff is struck out as Robinson gets him to chase one, and Robinson strikes out 2 here in the inning. We go to the 9th. Uribe, Robinson, and Brenly will try to do it as the Reds lead by 2 after 8. As we check out the rest of baseball this afternoon, the Yankees now in the bottom of the 8th inning, still leading Cleveland 5-3. Elsewhere in the American League, Boston now with another run over Baltimore. They lead 5-0, bottom of the ninth at Baltimore. In the National League, Chicago still leading Montreal 2-0 now in the top half of the sixth inning. And here it is 3-1, and that's indicative of how lineup cards in the dugout look by this time in the ball game. As we go to the ninth inning, 3-1, Cincinnati leading it. They have had an opportunity to move up on numerous occasions, and of course they're going to be rooting, Kurt, for the thing that we were talking about a minute ago to continue to happen. Neither the Houston Astros nor the Dodgers to want to take charge, because the Reds are starting to play good ball, it appears.
Nobody's taking the bull by the horns in the Western Division except the Los Angeles Dodgers so far. And right now, I guarantee you, Roger Craig is not a happy camper.
No, he has seen more opportunities drift away than has Pete Rose. John Franco on in relief to close it out for Cincinnati as he faces Jose Uribe, now batting right-handed. And Uribe takes ball one. Franco, the leader on the club, with 7 saves, and the saves have not been very frequently acquired by Cincinnati relief pitchers. 1-1.
Dave Collins taking over in right field for McClendon. They made a double switch. Franco would be in the 6th position hitting if in fact that ever happens, which Pete Rose certainly hopes won't. And Dave Collins is inserted in the 9th position, and if something did happen, he would lead off the inning. Little strategy.
The double switch. Another reason that I'm not a big fan of the designated hitter. Sabo with another chance. They cheer everything he does here in Cincinnati. One away.
And rightly so.
You know, he's done a lot. Certainly he has today. So a pinch hitter for Don Robinson, who was inserted into the 8th spot in the batting order when he came into the game in relief of Kelly Downs. Rusty Tillman was just called up from AAA Phoenix a few days ago. As you see, 333 with a homer and 3 RBIs.
And he did that against the Cincinnati Reds.
And he takes a strike on the outside corner.
That home run that he hit was against the Reds last week.
So Tillman trying to keep it going with 1 out and nobody on. A looper. Treadway going after it, makes the catch. Good play by Treadway. 2 out.
It's good. Treadway sprints to the ball the whole way, and he knows he's the only one that can get to it, and he makes a good play.
So the Giants down to their last out, and Bob Brenly will stand in, batting for the 2nd time. Brenly grounded to short his first at bat back in the 7th inning. And he takes low and inside. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Wiseman. The coordinating producer of NBC Baseball is Harry Coyle. Today's game of the week was produced by David Neal and directed by John Gonzalez. 1 ball, 1 strike to Bob. Way outside, 2-1.
Franco seems like he's changed a little bit as far as the way he approaches going after hitters. When he first came up a few years ago, he used to nibble on that outside corner and then bust the guy inside every once in a while when he got 2 strikes on him.
Well, he's got 2 strikes on Bob Brenly right now with 2 balls, 2 strikes. Many in the crowd now standing as the majority of the almost 30,000 who were here today want Franco to get the final strike. But Bob Brenly lines one into the left center field gap, and this one may go all the way to the wall. Run down just short of the wall by O'Neill, but an easy 2-out double for Bob Brenly here in the 9th inning.
Franco went right after him. He's got a 2-run lead. Says, hey, you hit it out of the park. I still got a 1-run lead. He'd rather do that than walk him, which is a smart pitcher. Watch this pitch. He goes right after Brenly. And Brenly goes right after him, and he lines it in the left field corner. Now, the last time O'Neill had a play like this, he flipped it behind his back, but he didn't do it this time.
Leadoff batter Brett Butler will stand in. And again, that run that the Reds added in the 7th on Sabo's triple looming larger and larger as the tying run is at the plate. But had that run not scored, now the tying run would be at second base. And the Reds can play a lot differently now than they could had this been a one-run game. Of course, Roger Craig has also got to play it differently. 1 strike to count to Butler. Strike 2. And the crowd into it again as they get back up. Butler again, as he faced Murphy earlier, having to face a tough left-hander in John Franco. 2-strike pitch. Grounded. Durham at first to Franco. Drops the ball. Brenly's coming around. He's going to score. Butler safe at first. And it's a 1-run ball game as the Giants stay alive. Franco couldn't corral the throw from Leon Durham, and it's 3-2 Cincinnati.
Because of Butler's speed, that made this play right here what it was. Franco gets over to first base fine. It was a good throw, but he knew Butler was right on his heels, and that made that whole play. Franco's got the throw right there, but he can hear the footsteps of Brett Butler coming up on him.
It appeared as if the ball hit right in the heel of his glove, and the pitching coach Scott Breeden is out. I think partially too to be sure that Franco's all right, because John took a heck of a spill and almost got run over by Butler after dropping the ball.
You could almost see that play materialize as soon as it was hit.
Speed is the most intimidating factor in baseball and has changed the game as much as anything.
Here's another look at it. See, Butler runs well, and he gets down there, and pitchers know that, and they hurry. Leon Durham might have hurried to throw a little bit, although it was a good throw, and Franco just dropped it.
That brings Chris Spire to the plate, and now the Giants have the tying run aboard, but there are 2 out here in the 9th inning. Butler with excellent speed at first, and the error by John Franco. Spire is 0 for 3 plus a walk, and he has scored a run. Strike. 0-1.
Now Roger Craig can do a couple of things here. He can let Chris Spire swing the bat, or if he gets 2 strikes on him, he can let Butler run. Franco is very aware of the speed of Butler.
Again, grounded to first. This should do it as Durham steps on the bag, and the Reds hold on to win it. They have taken the first 2 games of this 3-game series and have now won 6 of their last 7 games. Kurt and I will be right back in Cincinnati, where the Reds have defeated the San Francisco Giants 3-2. Stay with us. Here are the final totals. Cincinnati 3-8-1. The Giants 2-7-1. Robinson the winner and Downs the loser. And this week's NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game is Chris Sabo of the Cincinnati Reds with a home run, 2 doubles, a triple, and on this triple he scored what turned out to be the winning run in the ball game. Chris Sabo 4 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs.